All hell has broken loose as Bitcoin plunges into its 7th red weekly candle in a row, touching prices just above the $30,000 level. This is putting the Bitcoin chart in a position where it has lost its macro upward sloping trend line, and it is now breaking down into a potential macro bearish trend. And as you guys know, on this channel, we have been discussing all of the potential bearish scenarios, the downside risk that the market was showing very early on. Even a month ago, we were talking about the weakness in the market and that a major downtrend may be coming soon. So definitely smash the like button and subscribe to this channel if you've gotten value out of this content recently. Just the other day on Twitter, I made a video about the 20-month EMA and how historically it did lead us into a bear market. Right now, I'm looking at the monthly chart for Bitcoin. The orange 20 EMA is on the screen. And what we've seen historically is that after a major bull market, when we meet these long-term moving averages again, when we close below them, we usually get a sustained bear market, a continued bear market. And the same thing goes for the 2018 cycle. After the halving, major run-up, we meet the long-term moving averages, and we get multiple months below them to the downside, putting us in that bear market. And right now, Bitcoin is very much doing the same thing, where we've had a major run-up, go sideways into the long-term moving averages, and now we are playing out that downside action, breaking below the upward sloping trend line, looking like we're probably going to get at least a couple more months to the downside to find a bottom. In the first halving, we had 22 months before we broke below that 20 EMA. The second halving, we had 28 months until we broke below the 20 EMA. In this cycle, we have 23 months. So we're pretty much right on track for a bear market and looking to find a bottom over the next many months before trading sideways and then going up into 2024. And that is really what I think is most likely going to happen now. Also, for those of you that are regular viewers on this channel, we had a video about the weekly RSI, talking about how on the weekly chart, it does show that Bitcoin has a lot more downside to go before we truly bottom. First of all, this is the monthly chart again, and usually this RSI bottoms out on the monthly around a 44, right? That's the 2015 bear market, the 2018 bear market, and we still have some room to move down before we hit that typical bottom level on the monthly chart of 44 on the RSI, which means we could be going down for at least another month or so. Now, let's also hop over to the weekly chart here and remove everything I put on the screen. So we're looking at the weekly chart, and Bitcoin is also in that very classic pattern. If you guys noticed that in the previous bear markets, we sort of hold below this resistance line on the weekly RSI throughout pretty much the entire bear market. And then once we get back above it, that's when the signal for the bear market ending comes in. And check this out, guys. Look, we are still well below this, this signal here. If you look at the weekly RSI, Bitcoin has these lower highs on the weekly RSI, and we can still play out more downside until we actually find a bottom and then get the bullish signal that we're breaking back out again. And this resistance line is telling us that, you know, maybe it take until August or September before we actually get the bottom to come in and before we actually get the bullish signal that we're breaking out of this RSI downtrend on the weekly chart, right? So it could take several months before we actually get the bullish reversal signal. So definitely strap in, guys. I do not think that this is going to end anytime soon. And I do think we are likely going to get a breakdown below that 30,000 level and actually hit macro lower lows and play out a true bear market going into the low $20,000 range. We could potentially be hitting that 200-week moving average. So let's check out this blue 200-week moving average. I think that this is very likely going to be a huge area of interest for Bitcoin. After breaking below potentially the $30,000 level, we may be looking to test as low as 21 to 22,000. I think that, you know, even if we do get some kind of wick below that range, very likely that 22,000 level is going to be a very big area of interest for accumulation before rallying back up going into the 2024 halving. So that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Major downside into the low 20,000 range. Looking at this weekly RSI, probably going to be able to hold us down in this, below this trend line, below that resistance line, before getting that true bullish reversal signal many months from now. Another thing to look out for is the Coinbase weekly volume, my signature indicator for calling major market tops and major market bottoms. This is one of the things that this channel has been known for in the past. And currently, if you're looking at the weekly chart, we can see that Bitcoin looking like it's on the edge of a cliff, really, if I'm being honest here. And we do not have that classic signature weekly volume to signal the bottom or the top, right? Every major top or even that 6K bottom here showed a major weekly volume signature, right? Even here, weekly volume signature. Even that 2019 14K top, huge weekly volume signature. The COVID crash, huge weekly volume signature. Even that $30,000 low right there, huge weekly volume signature. And I do suspect that we're going to be seeing, you know, when the bottom actually comes in, how are we going to know? Very likely after a few more weeks of downside, maybe a month or two of downside towards that 200-week SMA, we'll see a huge weekly volume spike up to a much higher level. And at that point, then you could say with confidence that there's enough volume, enough coins have traded hands for us to actually confidently call the bottom and say that the bottom is in. And I don't think we're really anywhere close just yet. We likely need to get some capitulation below the $30,000 level into the 200-week with a huge volume signature to sort of punctuate that dip. So that's what I'm looking for the bottom call, which again, I don't think we're anywhere near it just yet. I think we're going to see a lot more blood, a lot more hands get shaken out of this market before we can truly say that the bear market is over. Something I was saying on Twitter earlier today is that we're likely going to play out that middle of the halving, macro lower low, multi-month dump, capitulation bottom, and it could take months. And I said, strap yourselves in and ignore the people that will prematurely call the bottom every day out of desperation. And this is a big one, guys. There's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to sort of have to, you know, come to terms with that they were wrong. But before then, they're likely going to be calling the bottom at every chance possible without any real signal, without using any real signals. They're just going to be calling the bottom, and I would say avoid that, right? Wait till you actually get a major signal, some kind of major punctuation, which is what I use the Coinbase weekly volume for, right? I think it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that we're going to bottom before getting capitulation below our horizontal support, guys. Usually when trends change, when trends shift, first you have to get maximum pain, right? Maximum pain. And after you get that maximum pain and people come to terms with what the trend is really doing, then you could be looking for some kind of bottom to come in, but it's likely not going to come in until we get maximum pain, guys. Max pain is important when you're looking for major bottom signals in a market, right? So look out for max pain, look out for a lot more blood. But of course, if we do see that, right, it's time to start accumulating, right? Buy the blood, buy the fear. But I don't think we've seen enough fear just yet in this market. I think we're going to see a lot more pain, a lot more fear before we can truly say that the bottom is in. And I would be looking for macro lower lows below that $30,000 level before we can confidently call the bottom. But guys, this also means that just like in the previous cycles, if you're looking at the monthly chart for Bitcoin, usually what happens is after you get below that orange 20 EMA, like in 2014, we only had 4 months down. In 2018, we only had 2 months down. So anywhere from 4 to 2 months, guys, 4 to 2 months down. So we actually may be closer to the bottom than you may think. I'm not saying that it's all over. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm actually saying that it might get violent to the downside, but it's almost time to start buying once again. But I don't think that time is just yet. Going to wait another 1 to 2 months before we can really start to buy with confidence. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, and join the Patreon if you want to support my work. And I'll see you guys in the next video.